Driving on a suspended license doesn't feel dangerous until the red and blue lights appear behind you. Most people don't wake up one morning planning to break the law. They miss a court date. They forget to pay a ticket. Insurance lapses for a month during a job transition. A letter from the DMV goes to an old address. And suddenly, without drama or warning, they're driving illegally without even realizing the full consequences. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest in the comments. Have you ever driven even once while knowing your license wasn't fully valid, even if you told yourself it was just temporary? Drop your answer below. No judgment. Because what I'm about to explain may completely change how you think about that decision. And there's one critical detail most drivers never understand until it's too late. Driving with a suspended license isn't just another ticket. It is viewed differently by the system, not emotionally, structurally. And once you understand how officers, prosecutors, and motor vehicle departments categorize this violation, you'll see why the exit strategy matters more than the mistake itself. Here's what most people misunderstand. A suspended license is not treated the same way as expired registration or even driving without proof of insurance in your glove box. Suspension signals something deeper to law enforcement. It suggests non-compliance. That word matters. When an officer runs your information during a traffic stop and sees license suspended on their screen, the tone of the stop changes internally, even if the officer's voice doesn't. You move from routine enforcement to a driver who has already failed to resolve a prior legal obligation. That psychological shift is subtle, but it affects everything. Let's break this down calmly. There are different types of suspensions in the United States. Some are administrative: failure to pay a fine, failure to appear in court, insurance lapse. Others are tied to more serious issues like DUI, reckless driving, or accumulating too many points. Officers don't immediately know the reason when they first see the suspension flag. All they know is that legally, you should not be operating a vehicle. Now imagine the scenario. You're on your way to the airport. Maybe it's a work trip. Maybe it's a long-planned vacation. You're already thinking about boarding times, security lines, luggage weight. An officer stops you for something minor: a rolling stop, a broken tail light, 5 miles per hour, over the limit. Routine. They take your license, they return to their vehicle, they run your information, and then the computer tells them your driving privilege is suspended. In many states, driving while suspended is not just a citation, it's a criminal offence. That means arrest is on the table. Here's the part most drivers don't understand. Whether you knew your license was suspended may or may not matter in the moment. Some states require proof that you were notified. Others operate under the assumption that the DMV mailing notice creates legal presumption of awareness. Officers are not required to debate that roadside. They see the status. They act on the status. This is where your exit strategy begins, because the worst mistake you can make is reacting emotionally. I've seen it play out repeatedly. The driver becomes defensive. That's impossible. There must be a mistake. I paid that. You're wrong. The officer isn't personally accusing you of anything. They're enforcing a database result. Challenging them in that moment rarely changes the outcome. And here's something else people misunderstand. Officers have discretion, but discretion narrows when you escalate. If you remain calm, respectful, and controlled, an officer in some jurisdictions may choose citation over custodial arrest, especially if the suspension is administrative rather than criminal in origin. But if you argue aggressively, raise your voice, or accuse the officer of incompetence, you shrink that margin of flexibility. The system is human. Tone matters. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Many people driving on a suspended license know they're suspended. They just believe they won't get caught. That calculation is risky in ways most drivers underestimate. Modern patrol vehicles are equipped with license plate readers in many jurisdictions. These systems automatically scan plates and cross-reference registration and license status databases in seconds. An officer may not have pulled you over for your driving at all. Your plate triggered the stop before you realised you were being evaluated. And if your registration address doesn't match your current residence, you may never have seen the suspension notice that triggered the chain reaction. This is why prevention is part of the exit strategy. Before we go deeper into what to say and what not to say during a stop, you need to understand how suspensions happen in the first place. Not the obvious ones, the quiet ones, Failure to appear in court is one of the most common triggers. You get a speeding ticket. The date conflicts with work, you forget to reschedule. The court marks you as non-compliant. A notice is mailed. If unpaid, the DMV is notified. Your license is suspended administratively. Insurance lapses create another silent trap. Even a short gap between policies can be electronically reported to the state. Some drivers assume they can reinstate insurance, and the issue disappears. Not always. There may be reinstatement fees, proof requirements, or mandatory filings like SR22 documentation depending on the state. Here's where travellers make a unique mistake. They move between states. Relocation complicates everything. You move from one state to another for work. You update your mailing address but forget to close out a previous citation. That old state can suspend your driving privilege there. Under interstate compacts, that suspension may affect your new state license. You think you're clear because your plastic card looks valid. The database says otherwise, and databases are what officers rely on. Now let's return to the traffic stop. Because the exit strategy is not about escaping accountability. It's about minimizing damage. First, understand that roadside is not the place to litigate your case. If the officer tells you your license is suspended, ask calmly, "Can you tell me the reason listed in the system?" That question gathers information without accusation. Do not say, "That's wrong." Say, "I wasn't aware, thank you for explaining." That phrasing matters. It shows cooperation without admitting guilt. You are not confessing. You are not arguing. You are positioning yourself as someone willing to resolve the issue. If arrest becomes likely, your behaviour in the next 5 minutes will influence how smoothly the process goes. Officers are documenting demeanour. Cooperative drivers are described differently in reports than combative ones. That description follows you into court. And here's something most people don't realise. Prosecutors review reports when deciding plea offers. A calm, respectful encounter can indirectly affect negotiation flexibility later. Your exit strategy continues after the stop. The moment you are released, your next move should not be frustration. It should be verification. Contact your state's motor vehicle department immediately. Confirm the suspension reason in writing. Ask what is required for reinstatement. Document every step. Do not assume paying the original fine fixes everything. Many states require separate reinstatement fees. Some require court clearance first. Others require proof of insurance filing before privileges are restored. This is where people make the second major mistake. They delay fixing it. Driving while suspended once is bad. Being caught twice escalates penalties dramatically in most jurisdictions. What was once a fine can become mandatory jail time or extended suspension periods. And if you are a frequent traveller, this can spiral into airline disruption. Imagine being arrested on your way to catch an international flight. The ripple effect is massive. Missed connections, non-refundable bookings, visa complications in some cases if you fail to appear later. One small administrative issue can snowball into thousands of dollars in collateral damage. Now, I'm going to say something that might surprise you. Sometimes the best exit strategy is not driving at all until the status is verified. If you even suspect your license may be suspended, check before getting behind the wheel. Most states offer online status verification tools. A 5-minute search can prevent a criminal charge. I've watched people gamble on uncertainty. I think it's probably fine. That phrase has cost people jobs. Because here's another angle rarely discussed. Many employers run periodic license checks for positions involving driving, even indirectly. A suspended status discovered during employment can trigger internal consequences separate from the court system. Your reputation is part of this equation. Now there's one more layer most drivers don't consider, and it's crucial. Insurance. If you are involved in an accident while driving on a suspended license, coverage complications can arise. Some policies contain provisions affecting coverage if the driver was not legally licensed at the time of the incident. That can expose you to personal liability beyond what you imagined. Think about that for a moment. An unpaid ticket from 2 years ago, leading to a suspension you overlooked, could later connect to an accident claim dispute. That chain reaction is real. So what is the true exit strategy? It's awareness before action, control during contact, immediate resolution afterward. It's not about winning an argument roadside, it's about reducing escalation. When officers stop you, They are enforcing what the system shows. Your power lies in how you respond and how quickly you repair the administrative failure. And if you've ever brushed off a court date, postponed a payment, or assumed a notice would catch up with you eventually, I hope this makes you pause. Because sometimes the most expensive mistake on the road isn't speeding. It's thinking a suspension is just paperwork. And if you're still with me, there's a critical distinction about restricted licenses and hardship permits that most people misunderstand completely. And it can change everything about how you legally get back on the road.